And I'm pleased to say that Vince Cable joins me in the studio. Vince, thank you so much for coming in and talking to me. So I'm going to start because I want to talk about your book first, because this is something that you've written. It came out in September, and it's called The Chinese Conundrum. What is it about?
Well, it's raising the basic questions. It's probably one of the most important issues for the future of the world. I mean, it may not be at the centre of British politics, but it is massively important for the future. I'm not a China expert. I haven't lived there. I don't speak Chinese language. But I've been involved, initially when I was in the private sector in Shell and then in government, dealing with the Chinese government. So I've been fascinated by it. And what I'm trying to do in this book is, first of all, try and understand what's going on in a reasonably objective way. I mean, there's a lot of propaganda from the Chinese government, and also in the West, particularly from the US, and Cold War environment building up, and I try to get outside that and try to see what's going on. And then I try to make the case for just engaging with them on a practical level. I mean, we have to deal with the Chinese, whether we like their system of government, and I think most of us don't, but, it's a reality. And we have to deal with them over, trade and economic issues, over environment, global warming, nuclear proliferation, lots of other issues. So I'm trying to make the case for getting back to a practical, common sense, business-like relationship with them, rather than just shouting and pointing fingers, which is where we are at the moment.
So it sounds like it is a conundrum, isn't it? Because it's sort of like, how do we deal with this? Because on the one side, as you said, it's a business side. We trade with them on a huge level all over the world, and they provide an incredible service. But then there are things like the Uyghur Muslims and their behaviour. I mean, should we be conflating the trading with their behaviours, or should we just be simply going forward and not ignoring what they're doing on the other side?
I don't think you can ignore it. It is a different system, and they do things which are unacceptable to people here. But, if you try to get under the Chinese skin, they would probably say there are a lot of things we do which are unacceptable to them. I mean, if they're looking at the United States, they would say gun laws out of control. If they're looking here, they would say, well, you've got a problem with Ireland or something. Dozens of issues. But there's just no point shouting at each other and saying, we don't like what you're doing, you don't like what they're doing. We've got to engage with the areas of common ground. It doesn't mean being cynical, it doesn't mean being amoral, it just means being practical and businesslike.